Coach, it's Matt here from the VIP Nutrition Coach Show. Today's episode is everyone's favorite type of story, a comeback story. My guest, Jane, is a nutrition coach who left her consulting job in 2019 to coach nutrition full-time. But unfortunately, even though she was working with just under 20 clients, that wasn't enough to replace her salary as a consultant, so she went back to work and just kept coaching on the side. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, her coaching income dropped to just $640 per month. But she had 3 months between consulting gigs and thought, why not give coaching another shot? And in this episode, Jane reveals exactly what she did to go from $640 per month to $40,000 in just 90 days. This episode is a snippet from one of the weekly live trainings we do in the Online Nutrition Coach Community Facebook group. All right, that's enough from me. Now for the episode. Let's start. I love when stories start at the end or the present. So present day, where's your business at? Like, how are things going?
Pretty good, I would say. I think you talk me up a lot more. I wouldn't talk myself up that much, but I guess I've got a full roster of clients. So I kind of had a goal to get to X amount of clients. So I think I've got 21 now. I said 20, but I've got 21. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of thought that at 20, I would be like at capacity, and that would be the point at which service to those clients would start degrading, but I still feel like I'm fully serving them, so that's cool. Obviously, price point has increased a lot from back in the day. So yeah, I guess pretty good. Earning some good cash last week, definitely. Yeah, so I had my biggest week, I guess, to date. So I think it was like 9,500 last week.
Yeah, and that's in terms of how much you collected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I definitely see a lot of fit pros saying they earn this much, but I think it's like they sell that much. Well, what do you actually get in your pocket? So
exactly. Yeah, I'll give that. That's a little trick of the trade.
Yes.
That, it's like you've got your what people sold and then what people have collected. And so, for example, you had that 1 week where you sold 13,500, almost 14,000, but that doesn't mean that you collected all of that because you've got some people that pay in full, some people that do payment plans. So now you're starting to see the fruits of all those payment plans rolling through.
Yeah, which is good. So now I'm at a stage, I guess, that, I can live where I couldn't before previously on my nutrition coaching alone. So it's not like, how am I going to do this? So that's nice to see that kind of regular income coming in. So it's actually quite good to have people pay in full and on a payment plan. Like, I actually don't mind either way, because it means I have that regular ongoing income versus like, oh, this is my income for the next 6 months that I have to then make last, which I'm not good at. So yeah. Good to have a bit of both.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So the other thing is, I don't know this yet because you did a little bit of an audit of how much time you're spending in your business. So I'm really curious to hear the results of that. How much time are you spending in your business and where are you spending the most time right now?
Yeah. So last week I did a bit of an audit on myself because you posted something in the online nutrition company, like community, like, how much are you spending on your business? I'm like, I have no clue. So I just had a little kind of thing that I scribbled on, just looking at where I spent my time. And I'd say the two big chunks are obviously client messages, client like fulfillment, making sure they're happy, they have what they need. And the other one was content creation. Interestingly, I didn't quite expect that to be as much as it is. So I love creating content and just kind of like write it, but it actually takes a bit of time by the time you write it and like put some cool text around it, drop a photo to yourself, like probably half an hour each time I create a piece of content, I realized, which was interesting. Last week was probably a bit of a different week in that I had like admin in there, which was, I just hired a VA. So I had a whole lot of, like interviews with them to kind of get them on board. So I think all up it was 33 hours, but that included 5 half-an-hour interviews, which is rare. So I'm pretty happy with that. Like, it means you can work like 25 to 35 hours and comfortably live. And I guess the difference is that I choose when I work those hours. So if I'm like on a roll, I'll like get up real early and do some work. Or if I want to work later, I'll work later, and that works well.
Yeah. That's the freedom and flexibility everybody's looking for in being an online nutrition coach. So yeah, that's awesome. Plus, shoot, last week was one of your biggest weeks at, what'd you say, 9,800?
Yeah.
And you worked 33 hours.
Yeah. So, because I got 2 new clients last week, I think.
Yeah.
3, 2, I think. But yeah, so definitely a bigger week. There was a few triage and sales calls in there, which isn't all the time, right? Like they kind of control. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, just so everybody knows, we're aiming for 25,000 October and then $1 million in 2021. So those are the big goals we're aiming for with Jane. But that's really big compared to 2019. And actually, I don't know too much about 2019 other than the fact that you mentioned you made 14,000 over the course of the year. You had taken some time off of work to give it a go, and you ended up going back to work. So if you could just explain for us, like 2019, you did pretty well in terms of what most nutrition coaches would consider doing well, but like as far as the standards you and I hold, it was below par. So like, what were you doing in 2019? How was that different than now?
Okay, so I started my business back in 2016, so 4 years ago. I don't know if you knew that. And I sort of started at, you take on someone quite cheaply as like a practice client. So way back then, this is going way back, I had a client for $15 a week. He was like my test client. He did awesome. And he was my client that I kind of tested a lot of my systems and processes and stuff and refined that. Fast forward to 2019, was living the athlete life. So for those of you who are in the CrossFit realm or like competing and stuff, and saw this as a cool opportunity to kind of do both because they can go hand in hand, right? So, quit my soul-sucking job. I'll just give a caveat on that. I didn't hate my job. I really liked what I do. So it's not that I was like, I have to get away from this job. But that said, it was a lot of pressure. I think for me, the big one was that I'm a little bit ADHD and I don't work well in the kind of corporate, like you have to be at a desk from this time to this time. I like to work when my energy is good. So for me to go home and nap in the day didn't really work that well for them. So I quit my energy sucking job, let's call it that, because I didn't feel like it. Very scary. I kind of had some money in the bank that I knew if it didn't work, I could kind of live for a while. I'd say then I had a roster of around 20 to 22 clients, so very similar to now. They were at $40 a week. And so they all did well-ish. I think the big difference I know now, reflecting on it, seems so silly now because at the time I didn't realize it, is that when someone's paying that much, they're not committed to it. Where when someone's paying the price point that's a lot more, they're going to reach out when, something's not going well and they need help. I reach out to them too, but it doesn't have the same kind of incentive to see it through. So the commitment from them is less. So you'd get clients who don't check in, like they're like, and then they'd get 2 weeks where like maybe it didn't quite work and they're like, oh, this is too hard. They're not really sold. So it was really draining on me. And like my partner will say, like, I went to a dark place. And I'm generally a pretty like happy-go-lucky person. Like it takes a lot to kind of get me down. And like it was hard. And I was just like, this is more soul-sucking than my job. And the fact that I was earning crap in my other job paid me shitloads. So like the opportunity cost of me not doing my other job was huge. And like with my other job, I was a contractor, so I could set my own hours. I was working 3 to 4 days a week anyway, so it's not like I had a bad lifestyle. So for me, the thing that probably stopped me is like, it's easy to go back to the safe money. And, I was getting paid really well. I was getting paid to fly around the world, like to put up in hotel, all that, air points, blah, blah. I was living the dream. But what I couldn't do? I couldn't go to the beach for like 3 hours during the day during summer. because I'd have client meetings. So so I guess long story short, kind of burnt myself out badly. And then so we ran out of money. And I like traveling, but when we could travel, so I wanted to still go on for some holidays and stuff. So I went back to some contracting work. I ended up taking a role out of the city that I had to stay away 2 nights a week. But the money was worth it. Like, I get paid a lot, I got all my expenses covered, like all of that was pretty cool. So then I kept doing my nutrition coaching on the side because I really enjoy it. I had some gym challenges going on with some of the gyms here, so got some clients through that. I think I had around 14 clients-ish. They were still paying the $40 a week. And eventually I got over the travel. I got over traveling, being away from my partner and my dog and just like your bed, like things like that. And I guess people ask me, like, how did you stumble across Matt? And I honestly don't know. It's like he stumbled across me by like, which you learn. And now I'm like, oh, you're so smart. Like, looking back, I'm like, that's how I find my clients now. But I was thinking about this for today. And I remember the thing that got me. We put a thing up on your Facebook and it said, who would be comfortable charging $500 per month for nutrition coaching? And I said, yep. And I remember you messaged me and you said, what are you charging now? And I said, $40 a week. And he's like, why? And I remember like, I didn't click on the message. So I never like looked at it. So it just sat there unread in my inbox. And I was like, fuck. Sorry. And like, that made me think. And I was like, what? Huh? And I didn't have an answer. And I remember I just left it for weeks and weeks. And then I don't know how we finally got onto it. But that was the thing that I was like, I was speechless. I was like, I don't know why I'm not charging that. I should charge that. But I didn't even know how to go about start charging that. So eventually I guess like the stars aligned. COVID hit. I was working from home anyway, and used this as an opportunity to leave my job that I had to travel from. But I also had this job offer looming over my head for a big 4 company, if that means anything to anyone out there. They pay you a lot of money to do really cool things. And it was a really cool role. So I said to Matt, we had a chat, and I said, I've got a deadline. Said, yep, I'll do this. I've got some spare time. I'm twiddling my thumbs for a couple of months, I'm not very good at that. So I said, if I can make at least what I'm making, I think I said something like this, at least what I'm making in this job that I'm going to get offered, or at least see the trajectory to get there by the time I get offered this job, which I think at the time was 2 months, but I think, there was the 3-month build workshop, and he goes, yeah, you can definitely do that. He goes, oh, but I don't want you to you can't just do a month and then leave. Like, you can't just, if you're in, you're in. And I was like, and I was like, well, I'm not doing anything else. Like, give me something to do during lockdown. So I was like, okay, I'm in. And I was still doing this other contracting job that was actually pretty busy. So for the first month, I'd say I was slammed. Then that other job kind of went away for a bit while they were waiting to get this thing and offer me this role. So I was like, okay, head down. Let's see what I can do if I like put my all into it. And I'd say like I definitely did.
Definitely.
I was like, right, okay, this is my final shot. I've tried this so many times. Like, this is it. I'm going to give it like all 1000% and, see if I can make something of it. And if I can't, that's it. I'm done. Leave this, life done, back to the other job. And then I was at a stage that we got to then build. Actually turned out that the job that I was going to get offered probably wouldn't have eventuated in the way that I would have liked. So yeah, the universe has funny ways of delivering you what you need. I think it was that big thing of you saying, you can charge this much. I was like, huh? How?
That's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea that that's what really got you over the edge. That's awesome. Yeah, and it is one of those things that you mentioned, like, I don't want to work with people who aren't really truly committed to nutrition coaching. Like, I'm happy to help someone make a part-time nutrition coaching job. Like Lucinda's goal is to work 20 hours and to make good money in 20 hours. Like, I'm happy to help someone if it's like, I'm going to do this part-time, but like side hustle, kind of sort of interesting project for me. It's like, that's when all of a sudden the other job, the safe money becomes too low. So for you, I grilled you before I even invited you because I was like, I'm not really interested in taking your money if you're not going to apply yourself.
Yeah. And I think as well for me, like at the time, the money wasn't really an issue. So I was like, it's just something fun to do, that little project, like, yeah, cool, like easy. But for me, not so much the investment of the build workshop, because at the time that was like nothing. It was the opportunity cost of what I'd be turning down. So for me, that was in the back of my mind going, you have to earn this much or more, ideally, with a better lifestyle. Otherwise, you have to go back to that.
Yeah. And you didn't.
And I didn't. I don't even know. It's still weird. It feels not real, but anyway.
Yeah. And you're about to buy a house by the beach.
Yeah. So that, I guess that kind of played into it as well. I was like,
yeah,
I want this house. Like, I have to earn this. So yeah, we're building an amazing house across the road from the beach. So cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Pumps me up that, it's like your online nutrition coaching is going to be able to support your ability to buy and build a house. That's something that you can give yourself a pat on the back for. Is like, wow, I'm literally like by my own devices able to build this house. I think, Jane, you came in and I was just like, you have to immediately charge $3,000 for 6 months. And you did. And like, you pretty much, you're like, well, don't I need to change the way that I coach to do that? And I was like, no, just charge $3,000. You're undercharging, which means just charge the amount that you should.
Yeah, I think that was a huge mindset shift. Well, I guess in terms of content, like I try to post every day. If I'm on a deload week right now, I'll post a little bit less. But I just make a kind of effort to post something. And in terms of getting that messaging across, I just relay what I hear and see from either my clients or people I have triage calls with. Because if someone's thought it or said it or felt it, then someone else will have too. So it's that whole, like, if you're in a group situation, like, ask the dumb question, because if you're thinking it, someone else is thinking it and too scared to ask. So just ask. And I think the big, shift for me, content-wise, was just don't give a shit. Like, just write. And like I didn't even use Facebook before because I hated it. And now people get kind of tired of social media and they're on there all the time, and the drain of that. I never really good. I never actually look on social media. I push, I don't pull. So I'll push content. And I'd be like, shut up. But I never sit there and scroll the gram. I have no interest in that. So I just, put out what I know my clients want to hear, and my ideal client can relate to. So I think that's a big shift. And the other one around content was likes and comments don't matter. This is a huge shift. I said, I got like 100 likes. What the hell? On Instagram, obviously. My likes have gone way down, but now I actually get clients, right? So people don't like or comment often. So I think about all my clients now. A lot of them never even liked one of my posts ever. And then when we get on a call, they're like, I've been watching all of your posts. Oh my God, they speak to me. And I'm like, did you want to give me a little yeah, cool. People don't do that. It's like the people who like are just like your friends. They're like, oh, good work. You're doing things with you. Cool. So yeah, that was a big shift. So it's just like, keep posting, write some stuff that people might want to hear. Some will land, some won't. Fail fast, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a massive shift. I love that. It's like you have less likes, but you have more clients.
Yeah. More clients that I love working with. So
yeah. Yeah, that's I think a big shift, because I think sometimes even the messages that I put out and other coaches put out around is like, you've got to grow your audience. You've got to get in front of more people, and people are blindly growing their audience. They're more worried about the number of followers or friends, whatever, instead of who actually matters,
Yeah.
your ideal client. And then when it comes to content, a lot of times there's that adage of just be consistent with your posts, post every day. But it's like, if you're posting a video of your workout that nobody cares about, or like your smoothie bowl that looks like every other smoothie bowl every other Fit Pro's ever posted, it's like people don't give a shit. So consistency doesn't actually matter there. But what you're doing with speaking directly to those things that your ideal client is thinking consistently, that's creating good opportunity. And I've found, when I went and looked back through, a lot of the time, the people who end up in the Build workshop, they did not comment on a post of mine until it was like a hand raising post or an offer post. And then we got onto a call and they were like, hey, I've been following for a while.
Yeah.
I'm in. Yeah. It's like, don't get bogged down in the vanity metrics, people. Vanity metrics really don't matter that much. What really matters is that connection. If you see social media more as a connection platform, it's really helpful. And then if you treat it the way that, the mirror situation here, if you treat it the way that Jane does, where you're putting the content out, engaging with the people, connecting with the people, but then getting off and not doing heaps of consuming, you're going to be a lot happier, I believe, with your business. Because then that time that you might spend scrolling, which doesn't actually move the needle forward, but makes you feel like you're doing something because other productive things you've done are on Facebook, Instagram. Like, instead of doing that shit that doesn't move the needle, you can be at the beach for 3 hours a day. All right, coaches, that's it for today's episode. If you'd like to hear the rest of this training, get access to tons more like it, plus free resources to help you scale your online coaching business, you can head directly to the Online Nutrition Coach Community Facebook group, or go to beyondmacros.com/community to get access. Plus, I'll send you a free bonus training to help you scale your nutrition coaching business without working a minute past 30 hours per week. I hope to see you in the community so I can put a face to the name. I'll see you there. And until next time, much love, legends.